From orphan to CEO. A journey you won't believe. There are stories that touch your heart, and then there are stories that shake your soul. Stories that force you to reevaluate what's possible in life. This is one of those stories. A story that doesn't begin in comfort or privilege. It doesn't begin with connections or wealth. It begins in complete abandonment. In a world that offered nothing but silence and struggle. It begins with a child, unwanted, unloved, and unseen. Left behind not just by parents, but by a society that never believed someone like them could ever rise. From orphan to CEO. But what makes it even more powerful is everything that happened in between. Because this isn't a tale of sudden success. It's about sheer will, unshakable belief, and the kind of resilience that very few will ever understand. Imagine growing up without a safety net, no mother's warmth, no father's guidance, no one tucking you in at night, just questions, just aching. Just the feeling that you were born into a world that forgot about you before you even had a chance. That was the reality. The early days were not filled with dreams, but with survival. Cold nights, empty plates, worn out clothes, and the worst part, an overwhelming sense of invisibility. Being in a crowded room and still feeling completely alone. Watching other kids go home to families while you were left with silence and stale institutional walls. But somehow, even then, a spark remained. A stubborn refusal to accept that this would be the end of the story. There's something about pain that either destroys you or awakens you. For some, pain is the end. But for others, for the rare few, it becomes fuel. Every time the world said, "You can't," that voice inside said, "Watch me." That inner voice, though small and soft at first, became louder with every hardship. When teachers underestimated, when peers laughed, when society labeled. That voice became the one true companion. It said, "There's more for you than this." And slowly, belief began to take root. Not because there was reason to believe, but because not believing would have been the real death. In a place where nothing was handed over, everything had to be earned. Respect, opportunity, even self-worth. There were no fancy supplies, no tutors, no parent-teacher meetings. Just grit, just effort. That early fight, those formative years, weren't about chasing dreams. They were about building the armor to one day survive them. Just showing up even when life screamed, "Stay down." That's what most people don't see. They see the CEO, the suit, the office. They don't see the nights spent studying under dim streetlights. The part-time jobs at 15. The rejection letters. The doors slammed shut. They don't see the child crying silently in a foster home, promising themselves, "One day, they'll know my name." Every small win felt like a mountain conquered. Getting into college, against all odds, wasn't just a milestone, it was a revolution. It was proof that bloodline doesn't define destiny. That statistics don't seal fate. That even if you start with nothing, you can still create something incredible. But college brought a new kind of challenge. Everyone else seemed to have support, mentors, a safety net. Meanwhile, it felt like walking a tightrope with no one below to catch the fall. But instead of resentment, there was resolve. If doors didn't open, new doors would be made. Because giving up was never an option. Entrepreneurship didn't start with capital. It started with conviction. While others waited for investors, this journey began with borrowed laptops, late-night research, free Wi-Fi, and an unmatched work ethic. The mission wasn't just to create a business, it was to create freedom. To build something that could never be taken away. Something that didn't just pay bills but paid back the years of pain. Every setback in business wasn't just a challenge, it was familiar territory. Rejection? Failure? Survived that. Loss? Lived it. While others panicked at pressure, this person thrived in it. Because when you've grown up with nothing, the fear of losing everything loses its grip. Success came slowly. The business grew not just from strategy, but from soul. Every decision made was rooted in the promise that no other child should ever feel forgotten. The company wasn't built for profits, it was built for purpose. Every product, every service, every employee, was part of a bigger mission. And that mission was redemption. Not just for one life, but for the thousands of lives still stuck where this journey once began. Eventually, the titles came. CEO, founder, visionary, but none of them meant as much as the moments when old wounds started to heal. Returning to the same orphanage, not as a resident, but as a donor. Hiring others who were once told, "You'll never make it." Mentoring kids who feel the same loneliness that once burned like fire in the chest. The unseen victories. The transformation not just of circumstance, but of identity. From victim to leader. From overlooked to irreplaceable. From orphan to CEO. The world loves to celebrate the destination, but what matters more is the journey. It carved out a human being who is not just successful, but deeply empathetic. Someone who knows that leadership isn't about commanding power, it's about using your power to lift others. And that's the kind of CEO the world desperately needs. One born not from privilege, but from purpose. So if you're watching this now, wondering if your past disqualifies you from greatness, hear this loud and clear. Your past is not your prison, it is your power. You may have been abandoned, overlooked, rejected, but you are not broken. You are becoming. Every tear, every heartbreak, every lonely night was shaping you into someone this world cannot ignore. Your trauma does not make you less capable, it makes you more. More aware, more driven, more human. You don't need a perfect start to build a powerful future. You don't need a last name that opens doors. You need one thing. Belief. Belief that you are here for a reason. That your pain has a purpose. That the world doesn't get to define your limits, you do. So take the next step. Start the project. Make the call. Take the risk. The same fire that took this orphan from the bottom to the boardroom lives in you, too. Let the world doubt. Let the odds stack up. Let them say it's impossible. Because one day, they'll be telling your story. One day, your scars will speak hope to someone else who needs it. And when they ask you how you did it, you'll smile and say, "What do you think of our video?" Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. Also, subscribe to our channel before you go. Thank you for watching.